Back in 2018, Gibraltar launched the first legal and regulatory framework which attempted to capture firms operating within the DLT space, more commonly known as crypto firms, virtual asset firms, or virtual asset exchanges. Given that this was such a new and nascent industry, it was decided, rather than having very prescriptive and detailed rules, the best way to approach regulating this new industry was to introduce a set of high-level standards, high-level principles, which firms are expected to adhere to on an ongoing basis. These principles very much mirror the principles or expectations, standards that are already set in the more traditional financial services regulations, but would still allow that or afford that flexibility to firms in order to achieve those outcomes in slightly different ways. So originally there were 9 regulatory principles which sets out what firms needed to comply with. Aside from AML, CFT requirements, there were firms also needed to demonstrate that they had good risk management framework in place, good corporate governance arrangements, that they were able to protect and segregate client assets adequately, having sufficient financial and non-financial resources. And basically what this sets out or requires firms to do is to maintain or enhance the integrity of any markets in which they participate or operate within.
What kind of situation might arise in which someone is hoping to manipulate prices or something of that sort? How does this principle protect the markets?
So this principle will require firms to obviously employ systems, tools, processes, employ people as well, in order to monitor for or look out for these types of patterns and behaviours. Ultimately, what we're looking is for firms to crack down on these types of activities by firstly identifying them, and then obviously taking action to ensure that the markets in which those activities or those bad actors might be operating in are mitigated as far as possible. So ultimately what we're looking for firms to do is to replicate similar systems, controls, processes to traditional financial markets ultimately. So think about your kind of stock exchanges, etc. Ensuring that there are sufficient disclosures made to customers in terms of how a market might function, might operate, the features it's got, the rules and requirements governing the trading on the exchange. For example, what types of virtual assets are available, what types of products are there, what's the type of pricing mechanism employed by the firm, etc. And it also covers standards or trading standards as well, things like transparency, so making sure that everybody has the right access to the same information at the same time, and ultimately making sure that users are on a level playing field when executing their orders.